Governors, it's always interesting to get your assessment on some of the important issues New Jerseyans are facing and kind of get an idea of how we're doing at this point in time. Governor Kean, to begin, some have observed that New Jersey is being impacted now with some of the most difficult economic times we've faced here as a state in decades. Do you agree?
We're not in challenging economic times, but as a state, we're not dealing with our problems responsibly. And therefore, if we don't do that, we're second only to Illinois in terms of our debts and responsibility for paying our debts. Now, eventually, like a family, that catches up with you. If you don't pay your debts, you can put them off for a long, long time, but then they come and hit you in the back of the head, and all of a sudden you're bankrupt and you've all sorts of problems, and that's going to happen to the state.
In your view, Governor Whitman, how are we doing economically?
Well, I agree with Governor Kean. We have a big challenge, and certainly the rating agencies look at us and say, you're right at the edge. You're teetering on the edge of another downgrade. And that's not good because that makes the cost of borrowing money, which the state does on a fairly regular basis, more expensive. And that, again, adds to the deficit, adds to the problems that we have. And so it's challenging. We have a very diversified economy in the state. We have lost a number of the pharmaceuticals that we've had, but we've brought in other businesses. So that part of it is good, but it's a constant challenge. And we'll know after the census how we've done on increasing the population.
New Jersey certainly has a great location between New York and Philadelphia, two major metropolitan regions. How are we doing, do you think, Governor, in terms of attracting businesses and creating jobs?
We were rated this year as the worst state as far as attractiveness to business. Now, it's one of the rating services. You can argue with it, I guess, but we get rated there second last or last every single year. And what that means...
Not always. We didn't used to.
No, we didn't used to. No.
We
Well, we didn't used to do a lot of things. When I was governor, we had a AAA bond rating, one of the best in the country. I mean, it's you know, we've changed. And these are our problems now. So we're not in great shape. We're not going to continue it. Businessmen complained about the regulatory climate here, the more regulations of the states. They claim about the taxes, they're overtaxed, they tax more than other states. And so, you know, they move with their feet. And we lose businesses, we lose small businesses, we lose large businesses, and, you know, that's our lifeblood.
Well, taxes you mentioned, and retired people about to retire, are moving out of the state.
Well, yes, for taxes. They move to Florida because there is no inheritance tax. You know, those are the kinds of decisions that people will make. Those that can afford to make them will make them. And that's not surprising. It makes sense. In fact, if you think about it from their perspective, but it's not good for the state. I don't think we're ever going to do away with the estate tax, but it's something that needs to be looked at, certainly, as to what's the trade-off here with the income that we lose from the people who move versus what we get from the inheritance tax, and where is that point, that tipping point?
On another topic, education. Governor Kean, you were known as the education governor. How are we doing at preparing students for the next steps in their lives? Higher education, jobs?
We're doing reasonably well, but not as well as we should be doing. K through 12, the reform we really need to do is have all kids have preschool education. That's something that everybody knows that works, improves the outcomes, gets more people into college. We should do that. We should not settle for almost any student not having availability to some higher education, because they need some higher education in order to get the kind of jobs, particularly the kind of jobs that are going to be created. We're going to have huge dislocations in the society with the revolution in technology, and we're going to lose a lot of jobs. We've got to find new jobs and train people to take them.
In terms of the environment, Governor Whitman, you were the EPA administrator during the Bush administration after your 2 terms as governor here in New Jersey. How are we doing in terms of clean air, clean water? Where do we sit?
Backsliding. And that's a very hard thing to say because we were leading the nation in so many ways, but if you look at the shore, you look at our water quality, I think this administration is putting more emphasis on it, but we didn't, frankly, from a state point of view, do enough after Superstorm Sandy to ensure that every municipality that was so severely impacted instituted some new development procedures and requirements. And we're going to have more of these storms, and they're going to increase in ferocity. So we need to get smarter about that kind of thing as well.
Well, with all of your years of experience, governors, we appreciate more understanding about some of these issues that face us as a state, as New Jerseyans. Thank you very much.
Thank you.